Man, I hope everyone out there is doing amazing this morning. Today I will be covering part 2 of starting an oversized and over with permitting agency. So as you guys know, I did like a whole hour webinar, and basically that webinar, the audio was lost at around 7 or 8 minutes. So what I'm going to be doing is conducting a few segments, maybe about 4 or 5 segments of videos to actually teach you guys now, and I'll be posting these videos through YouTube. So yesterday I posted part 1 on how to start your oversized and over with permitting agency. So like I say, all of these segments that I'll be covering at the end, you guys will know and understand how to actually start your oversized and over with permitting agency and how to get it operational and the ins and outs about it. So yesterday, let's just do a recap on what I covered. Yesterday I just covered what qualifies an actual load to be considered an oversized or over with load. So what qualifies it is basically that load has to be taller than 13 feet 6 inches. So that's with the trailer combined. So it's trailer in the load. So most flatbeds, I could say, could take about a 7 or 8 foot load. And then a step deck trailer could take about a 10-foot load, or maybe even a little bit taller, because it's all about the height of the actual trailer from the ground to the top of the deck, and then your actual load. So we could say your load for a flatbed probably going to max out at about 8 feet tall, and your actual step deck load can max out at about 10 to 11 feet tall. But you guys can't exceed that actual 13 feet 6 inches, because majority of the actual highways and bridges and overpasses will only allow you to max out at 13.6. So that's going to be what's going to qualify as an oversized load, and also anything that's wider than 8 feet 6 inches. So if there's a load that's wider than 8 feet 6 inches, that's going to be an oversized load. So that load could be 8 feet 7 inches. And also any freight longer than 60 feet. So if that freight is hanging off the rear of your actual trailer and it's over 60 feet, then that's going to require you to have an oversized permit too. And then for every state that you're crossing, you have to have an oversized, permit. So just remember that too. So I covered that yesterday, and also I covered the different types of trailers. So basically what loads are going to be loaded onto an actual, what loads are going to be oversized loads are going to be loaded onto a flatbed or a step deck trailer, or a removable gooseneck, a 48 foot or 53 foot step deck, or a 48 foot or 53 foot flatbed trailer. So that was covered yesterday. So today, what I want to talk about is basically how to form your LLC. So I'm just taking you guys through the steps. So now it's time to form your LLC to get your business operational, so you guys can start that actual oversized and over with permitting agency. So the first thing that you guys want to do out there is don't go to an actual third-party agency. Don't go to LegalZoom. Don't go to somebody to basically do something for you that's pretty easy. And I feel that forming your actual LLC is pretty easy. The first time I ever formed an LLC, I actually went through LegalZoom, and LegalZoom charged me almost double or even more, than what the initial price was, only if I knew how to do it prior, So I'm just letting you guys know out there right now, the way that you guys can form your LLC, it's pretty simple. Right now, whatever state that you're in, so let's just say if you're in the state of Texas, go to Google and type in Secretary of State Business Services in Texas. And I guarantee you that first link, or the second link that pops up, it should be a .gov too. So don't go to no .coms. Make sure you go to the actual state website. So it should be .gov. Click that link, and I guarantee you that it should say somewhere on that page, form a new business, start a new business entity, search a business, whatever it is. And I guarantee you guys out there that you can do this by yourself. You guys can form this actual business by yourself by just going to start a new business, and it's all going to be self-explanatory. So once you actually open up the page to start typing in your information, it's just going to be all information about your personal information And then it's going to start talking about, what type of business you want to form. Do you want to have a single member LLC, or do you want members to be incorporated into your LLC? Who's going to be the officers, meaning what's the positions? Are you going to be a CEO, vice president, president, whatever you really want to call yourself? And all of this information should take no more than about 10 or 15 minutes. You guys out there can form your own LLC, and it shouldn't cost too much, anywhere from about $100 to $200. And you guys want to have an actual LLC form. And then once you form that LLC, you could go directly to the IRS website to get your employer identification number, your EIN number. Now, some states out here, once you actually submit that application, it might take a couple of days or whatever to get your LLC approved. And in some states, you could get your LLC approved instantly. I know in Tennessee for a fact that once you submit your application for your LLC, it will get approved. And then it just depends on your business name. So make sure you guys do a search on your business name to make sure that it's available. And as long as your business name is available, you could continue on with the process on filling out that application. So I know in Tennessee, it was instantly. In Indiana, it's pretty, well, yeah, I think Indiana is instantly. In Florida, it takes, a few days for, that LLC to get approved. But once that LLC get approved, go to the IRS website, which is just irs.gov. Go to file for a new EIN number, employer identification number. And then that's going to take you another 10 or 15 minutes. So it's pretty easy. LegalZoom, they're going to charge you $75 or $100 just to get your EIN number, but your EIN is free. And your LLC shouldn't cost no more than about $100 to about $300. About the average is about $150 or $200. So now you guys have your actual LLC application submitted and formed, and you got your EIN number. Now you're a legitimate business. I'll say go open up a business bank account too, for tax purposes. So now you have your LLC form. You're a legitimate business. Now let's talk about how can you start acquiring your clients and your customers so that you can start, getting some permits for these guys out here. So let's talk about some marketing and advertising. So the first thing that I would do for you guys out there is create some business cards, create some flyers, go start dropping them off in truck stops, go start dropping them off in, areas where truckers, pretty much hang out. I know with what's going on right now in the world, a lot of people are not interacting, due to, the coronavirus. So you can't go wrong with social media. I mean, that's where the world is going towards anyway, so we have already became pretty heavy users when it comes to social media prior, to the coronavirus. So for you guys right now, I would recommend, start getting active on social media, start getting active on Facebook, getting active on Twitter, getting active on IG, build a YouTube channel. There's many avenues out here when it comes to social media, so you guys can start marketing and advertising. I like to say the money is made, with your marketing and your advertising. And that's where the money is made, so no one is going to know about you. No one is going to know. Let's just say your name is called X, Y, and Z permitting agency. No one is going to know about X, Y, and Z permitting agency, until you actually put yourself out there. So I would highly recommend you guys to start utilizing social media, especially right now. You can't go wrong with it. Go build you a Facebook business page. And if you guys need any help on that, feel free to reach out to me. And we have an actual program where we consult people on starting their actual Facebook business page and how to utilize it and how to market yourself on Facebook. So that's marketing and advertising, which is very important to you guys. Start putting yourself out there. If you know anybody in your family that's trucking, or if you have any friends that's trucking, see if they can actually, start putting your name out there too, and maybe start passing out some cars while they are hanging out at the truck stop. So let's talk about networking. So networking, of course, of course, there's one person watching this video right now, so we both know that networking is very important. So let's just say I would recommend right now, you guys got to start networking ASAP. You got to start building relationships. I always tell you guys out there, building relationships is very critical when it comes to anything in this business. So when I'm talking about building relationships, I'm talking about start building relationships with dispatching companies, start building relationships with freight brokers, start building relationships with trucking companies. And the only reason why I say this is because I own a dispatching company, I own a freight brokerage, and I own a trucking company. And I know how critical it is to start networking, especially coming from an actual oversized and over with permitting agency, view in a standpoint, because how it works is if you guys could start networking with dispatching companies out there, a lot of these dispatchers, they're dispatching for owner operators, and a lot of these dispatching companies don't know how to get oversized permits, but they're going to be booking loads for their actual truck drivers. And let's just say there's a dispatching company that's booking loads for an owner operator that has a flatbed, a step deck, or a RGM, and they come up and they get an oversized load. They're not going to know, if they haven't been trained and taught, or if they haven't been educated, a lot of them are not going to know how to get oversized permits. So you want to start networking with those dispatching companies, so whenever they get an oversized load and whenever they book an oversized load, they'll call you directly, to say, hey, I got an oversized load and I was wondering if you could give me permits today. So that's the type of relationship that you want to start building with actual owner operators, with dispatching companies, so that you could be their go-to whenever they book oversized loads. And then you also want to build relationships with the freight brokers out here, because of course the freight broker is getting the freight from the shipper, and they already know that it's an oversized load. So if you already have relationships built with the actual freight broker, that freight broker can always refer you to whoever is booking that load from them. So let's just say someone calls up the freight broker, and the dispatcher or the actual truck driver calls up the freight broker to book the load from them. That freight broker can always put your name in there and say, hey, X, Y, and Z dispatching services do permits. Here's their number. Reach out to them. So that's the type of relationships you want to start building with dispatching companies and freight brokers, so they can start putting your name out there too. And also start building relationships with trucking companies, because not all trucking companies and owner operators out here use dispatchers. They might be dispatching themselves. Some trucking companies out here don't even go through freight brokers, because I don't go through neither one of them. And I also learned how to, get my own permits. But let's just say if I didn't know how to get my own permits, but I still cut out the dispatcher and the freight broker, I still need to go through a permitting agency to, get these actual permits. So start building relationships out here with truck drivers, dispatching companies, with freight brokers, and I guarantee you, you guys will start seeing some results, because the more people that know about you, the more money that you're going to make, the more clients that you're going to be able to acquire. So networking is very critical. So let's roll off into what I'm going to be talking about pretty much on the next video. So this is going to conclude part 2 of this video. Next video, what I'm going to be talking about is information needed from the trucking companies. So whenever you actually start, getting these permits for these trucking companies, I'm going to let you know the critical information that is needed, from the trucking companies. And then I'm also going to tell you guys how to actually get those permits. So that'll be on the next video. If anybody out here have any questions, feel free to hit me up on my email, broker@managedtrans.com. Go visit my website, www.extraordinarymovement.com. Go get your 30-day free trial with DAT. Go sign up with TAFS, Trans and Financial Services if you guys are looking for a factoring service. Everything is in the description box below. Man, CEO, commit, execute, and be obsessed. Everybody be great out there.